Sure, let's get started. Good morning, everyone. My name is Bill Ballard. I'm VP of Member Services for Tech Titans. We want to thank you all for attending today's Tech Titans virtual town hall. This is the second in our series of town halls. We're excited to provide this opportunity for our members to engage with each other, talk about membership, and discuss their businesses in the current environment. With the COVID spikes going on, elections ongoing and otherwise, and holidays approaching, we figured this is a great time to get together. And I really appreciate Ted and Melissa being our hosts today. So let's get started, and Melissa and Ted, y'all can take it away. Thank you.
Okay, so good to see everybody. I think we know a lot of people. I haven't seen Eddie Garrity's face in a long time. It's good to see you out there, and some of y'all we know. Sylvia Palmer, aka Jeannie Jones, out there, and literally, there's a lot of people named Sylvia Palmer. So for networking purposes, if you want to go in and change your name, you go up to the, I can't give the instructions. You go to the three little dots. If you put your cursor on yourself, and then you can rename yourself, so people can know who's out there. And it's great to be here today with Tech Titans and folks from around our DFW community, and to talk about what's going on locally. Melissa's on here, also named Sylvia Palmer. And what we wanted to talk about a little bit today was talking about how she has grown her firm, started her firm, grown her firm, built the technology, and now in the process of exiting her firm around different things within the local community and specifically Tech Titans. So Melissa, if you want to talk about that, and that's kind of our first thought of what we're going to talk about.
So first of all, if you like what I said, my name is Melissa, and if you don't, my name is Sylvia Palmer. So anyway, so my brother and I actually started GIACT Systems 16 years ago this November. So we're celebrating our 16th year as of November 5th. We are a technology fintech company in the fraud and risk space. We have an epic platform, and we do fraud and risk around enrollments, payments, identity, and compliance. We service government entities, the largest banks, largest retailers, really the largest companies in the world, clear down to small sole proprietors and small businesses. We would classify ourselves as a company in the emerging market, and I think one of the things that we have learned over the last 16 years is there's not a lot of support for the emerging market space. However, Dallas is a great location to build and grow a company. We have found that the talent here is exceptional. We have great universities surrounding this area that are putting out highly educated, highly talented, and innovative workforce, which we've been able to really hire and bring in. So there's been a lot of positive things about being in Dallas. Obviously, rent is a lot cheaper than if you're in San Francisco or New York or some of the larger areas where you see a lot of the fintechs coming up. And the tax environment. Texas is a business-friendly state. There's a lot of positive things about being here. One of the things that I think for Merlin and I that we did very differently than a lot of companies is we did not raise capital. So we started the company with our own money. And no, we were not independently wealthy, so I get that question a lot. We started the company with $300, and how it started is I'd worked in the insurance industry for 15 plus years. Marlon had worked in technology for 7 or so years, and we had started our own company because we were really tired of making other people money. We wanted to go out and make our own, money and really invest in ourselves. And during that startup time, it was tough. We had to work a lot of hours. We learned a lot on our own, and there wasn't a lot of people helping us, to be quite honest. We didn't have mentorship at first. And so as we became successful, one of the things Marla and I committed to do was helping other people. And so we've mentored multiple companies throughout the years who have been extremely successful and went on to, and they're still actively making money. But we really decided that as we found organizations that really focused on helping companies grow and become successful, we wanted to become involved. And so we were nominated, GIACT was, for one of Tech Titans Award, never heard of them before. We went to one of the events, and Charlie and Tad were sitting at a table. And so my employees had come, and somehow there was a mix-up, and there wasn't enough room for our table we had sponsored for all of our employees to sit at. And so I said, you guys sit here, and I'll go find another table. And so I sat down, and I went up to their table because there was a couple empty seats and said, would you mind if I sit with you? And so Tad said, absolutely not. Please sit down. And we started talking and became fast friends. We liked each other, and Tad began to talk to me about Tech Titans and what it was really about. And was great representation of that. And that was our first experience with Tech Titans. We since have become involved and are very excited about what Tech Titans brings. And also, I'm very excited that their commitment to really begin to provide support and through the emerging market companies, because that's really important. And when you look at Dallas, even though we have a lot of large fintechs and technology companies, there's a lot of emerging market companies that make up a good part of this workforce in Dallas. And so I think it's something that, as an organization that is really needed in our marketplace. So I'm really excited about what Tech Titans is doing, and also just the things they're doing around STEM and going into our schools. Because with all these companies that are moving into Dallas, we're getting ready to have a problem with talent. And so we all got to invest and be part of the solution so that we still can find the talent we need to continue to grow and be able to support our company needs.
That's a great point, Melissa. Take us back a little bit, because it's interesting. It's a town hall, and in some ways, we're, some on here understand how difficult it is to start a company, because I think the stats are about 80% of companies fail in their first 5 years, is the stats on U.S. small businesses. So most people fail in that first 5 years. Think back and tell us a little bit about, because bootstrapping is a whole nother challenging and sort of fear building, because fear can come in there because cash flow and employees and technology. Can you go back to that first 5 or so years and building the technology on your own dime? How did you do that?
So first of all, Merlin and I was raised by a single mother. We had two brothers and a sister, and our dad left us, and we ended up in the projects. So we were raised extremely poor, and I like to say, because of the way our mother brought us up, failure was not an option, right? We didn't realize we were so poor until we actually moved and went to another school, and it's like, crap, we were really poor, right? In fact, we were laughing the other day talking about it, but I remember our electricity got shut off, and we were lighting the house with candles and a kerosene lantern, and her making a game of it, telling us how cool it was, and none of the other kids were getting to do what we were. At the time we thought it was cool. Now it's like, that wasn't cool at all. So, but I think what happened was my mom just taught us hard work. Said there's no excuse for failure. If you fail, you can't blame it on anyone else but yourself. You will get what you're willing to put into something is what you will be the outcome. And so that really spoke to Merlin and I. And so I remember we sat in a room together, and we had a plan for failure, and we had a plan for success. And people say, Melissa, that's the craziest thing I ever heard. Well, guess what? We took failure off the table that day, because we said, guess what? We can't fail, because we got to feed our family, we got to pay health care, we got to do all these things. So whenever we get tired, or when things aren't going right, we're going to sit in a room together, and we're going to figure out what the answer was. The other thing we did is we paid each other the same amount of money, because a lot of people, when they start companies, they end up fighting over finances. We never have had an argument about money. If he makes a buck, I make a buck. So, taking things that caused so many businesses to fail in the early days off the table, just the only thing you can do is succeed. And we worked hard, man, every day. There was days my daughter fell asleep underneath my desk, and I carried her to the car and put her in bed and got her up the next morning, to get ready for school. So there's sacrifice. I hear a lot of people come up to me in meetings and say, oh, I want to start my own business. Tell me what's the first thing I need to know. And it's like, do you like to work hard? Well, I just want to start my own business. Well, guess what? It's not easy. There's days it sucks. And you got to know that and be okay with that and be willing to do whatever it takes to make it work. And if not, it's okay to work for someone else. Not everyone is an entrepreneur. And so there's a lot of hard work, and there's days that it's not fun. But if you're willing to stick it out and continue moving forward, then there's great reward.
That's great. I know as an entrepreneur as well, people always ask, they would find this bag in my office and it was a set of toys that has like Buzz Lightyear in it and Legos and all the other stuff. And they said, what is that? I said, well, that's for my kids on the weekends.
Yeah.
Especially when it's really starting the company and they'd have the little bag of Legos and Buzz Lightyear. And I now have Buzz Lightyear right behind me, so I can always remember some of those times. So you started in your bootstrap and you started getting going. How did you think about this? And I think and I might be taking this town hall a little different direction, but I think this is interesting for all of us because Melissa is such a, success story. When did you start knowing you were going to have a pretty good amount of success, and how did you build the team after you kind of had initial revenues and such like that when you were in that maybe 2005 through 10 time frame?
Yeah. One of the things I will tell you in my own life, and different people, do things different ways, but I don't feel like and I know people ask me this all the time, they're like, okay, Melissa, do you feel like I don't even feel like I've reached total success yet. I never stop. And I think that's something really important for entrepreneurs. If you ever get to a place where you think you're really successful, you're probably getting ready to lose what you have, because now you've become complacent. For entrepreneurs, there's always something else we want to do. There's always a goal that we want to achieve. And so it's a continued drive that's in your DNA that drives you towards success. And I tell people that a lot. If you can just hit a go and be satisfied with that, you're not an entrepreneur. True entrepreneurs have a drive that's hard to explain. Very few people understand it. They think we're probably a little bit crazy at times because it's something in your gut that just doesn't let you rest until you've reached what you want to do. But then there's always something else you want to go. So, for example, we're predominantly in the U.S. Merlin and I want to go international. There's something that we really want to achieve there to prove we can take our company international. We've had a great exit. I mean, Refinitiv has purchased us, and we'll close the 1st of December. We've done extremely well. We could retire. Guess what? We're staying. You know why? Because we want to finish what we started. We said we were going to go international. And people think we're a little bit crazy, like, why aren't you just running and leaving and going? Well, we haven't finished what we started yet. And so, I think part of being an entrepreneur is just always moving forward. So, when did I think we were okay? Well, obviously, we started the company with $300. In the first full year of business, we did multiple millions. And guess what? I solicited. I picked up the phone and called people myself. I didn't go hire someone to do it. Melissa sat in an office and talked to people about the business, talked to them about the products, talked to them about the services. And for the first year, I sold everything we sold. Merlin and I did. So you have to be willing to do the things you don't want to do. You don't like to solicit. You don't like to call people. You know what? No one's going to do it better than you are. You have to get in and do anything it takes to make it work. And some people are willing to sacrifice that. They want to hire people to do it. What I tell them is no one will ever tell the story like you will. And so those first few years are critical, to get the messaging out, to get, be able to talk about what you do. And then, once you begin to see where you're able to, have a profit, be able to grow and see that grow, then you can start bringing people in. But for the first few years, there was 5 people. It was Merlin and I, Rich and Jason, who's our developers, and Lindsay, who basically helped me and put clients up and credentialed them and did all the work. There was 5 people, and we were doing multiple millions. But there was 5 people because, we wanted to build that foundation and make sure we had the things in place before we began to grow our team.
That's awesome. And I think this might be, a good kind of perspective. how did you keep things, and in perspective? What kinds of people do you have around yourself, and what kind of personal rituals do you have to kind of keep it all? Because with that, kind of the never stop, never quit mindset, it gets a little tiring, right? I mean, what things
Sure.
around you help you keep it all together and keep it in balance?
Well, I think first of all is when it comes to work, I always hire people that are smarter than I am. So a lot of leaders are intimidated by knowledge, and they want to go hire people that, they can boss around and they don't feel intimidated by. It's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. So I mean, why not go hire people that are smarter than you in certain areas? It makes you look good. I look really good because I got a bunch of smart people around me. So, that's first of all, don't be intimidated by knowledge. I learn something new from every person in my building every day. For me personally, it's my relationship with God. God is my foundation and my point of center. It keeps me, grounded in who I am. I'm a giver. I give. Merlin and I have given millions of dollars from GIACT. We started a business with the philosophy that we would give 10% of everything we made. Plus we give personally. We've done that through the years. And we believe in our life that we are blessed to be a blessing. And we have lived that principle out through the years. And that's why I'm really excited. One of the things I talked to Bill about the other day is, we have set up a donor advice fund, and we plan to be able to give scholarships to people underprivileged kids who maybe could not go to college, to be able to do STEM, right, to invest in our future. And so one of the things we want to do is sow scholarships into those kids, to be able to help them go to college. Because here's the reality. We've got all these huge companies coming into Dallas, and we are getting ready to be faced with a crisis as a city, because we've always been blessed with hiring whoever we want, having the best talent, being able to pick through people and just really grow our businesses. But with all these big companies coming in, we're going to have some serious competition, and companies like GIACT is going to be harder and harder to find those quality people to be able to hire. So right now is the time to invest. Right now is the time to get more involved with the programs that Tech Titans has, to go out into the schools and work with our colleges. I mean, we have incredible universities around us. I mean, UTD and Collin, and you've got the one in Denton. I mean, there's so many, SMU. I mean, let's go on and name them. So we got to really begin to partner with these universities and continue to invest in our kids. More of us got to get involved, not only help from financial, but physically get involved, because it's critically important so that our ecosystem of talent does not, dry up and become really tough for us.
Absolutely. And if anybody, first of all, it's two huge points there. One is the need for STEM talent is tremendous. And I would tell you all that I've prepared some thoughts here on a few things on this, but I want to go down the STEM track here a little bit. Then I'd love, Melissa, to come back to the GIACT Gives, because I think it's an example, because I know, and another person on the call, another Tech Titan Award winner for the Community Hero Award, Bob, is on the phone, unless he looks like Steve Martin in his camera. If you look for the person that looks like Steve Martin, he's on there. So,
yeah.
So who's an amazing philanthropist in a different way too, by the way, in our amazing Tech Titans community. So a couple things just that I'll give you all, because Melissa is obviously in the fintech space, and HumCap is in the people space, and there's other people in the people space on the call here, and it's great to see friends out there in the people space. A couple things to note. One thing is because it says it's a town hall, and I think one thing to take a little bit of a breather on that gives us kind of some local numbers that I think might make sense to some people on here. And these are things that I did not make these numbers up. They've come from the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the regional chambers of commerce, as well as an economic research institute. So number one, since 2010, the DFW population growth has been 12.2%. That's a good 4 times the percentage growth in the U.S. of population growth. What that means to us as a region is that we're literally growing twice as fast as the US is right now. And candidly, I think with the COVID and with the amazing business-friendly kind of things like Tech Titans, like the Richardson Chamber, like the people that are helpful to business people, I think that it's going to accelerate around here. And that's opinion, not fact, but I think that trend will do nothing but accelerate. So number one, DFW is growing twice as fast as the country. Second of all, Texas house values, a lot of people on the call own homes. Your housing values are going up faster in Texas than just about anywhere else. So I think that's going to keep happening because people are coming. On a positive state, in the last quarter, so this is going to third quarter numbers from a combination of BLS and the DFW population survey, Dallas-Fort Worth created 109,000 jobs in Q3 of last year. That's a lot of jobs. Now, okay, yes, we lost 280,000 jobs in Q2 when just a lot of the retail and a lot of the hospitality and transportation industry basically had to take a time out. But the big deal on that is that we're growing fast again locally. And going back to the STEM issue, Dallas unemployment is at 6.8, which is about 2 percentage points below the US average. So again, our employment, okay, so you want to hire somebody, and there's some of us on the call who are in the hiring business. Not so easy to hire here as it might be in other places that are still more affected. And I think the big number, and the number we key in at HumCap, is the college unemployment rate. So bachelor's degree and above unemployment is at 4.2%. When you talk to employment experts, that's pretty much full employment. So one of the things I would encourage us all to do, and Lisa's not on the call, but if you're not involved in and around the Tech Titans STEM initiatives, I would love everybody and every company in Tech Titans and in the chamber to get involved in some STEM initiative, because we're putting money back into the, usually into the elementary, middle school, and high school level through Tech Titans. But it's really key that we have more and more young people learning that STEM is cool, right? Learning that being an engineer is great. Learning that data is the future, right? So I would challenge everybody in it. If you want to get involved in one thing in Tech Titans, I would say the STEM is the place, because we're kind of going to be, really in a high demand for people, higher than what we can sustain if we don't, because all these companies are moving to DFW, bigger than GIACT, bigger than, I know Bob from Real Time's in the call. There's a lot of people from different companies, Ahmad's in the call. Bigger than these companies are going to come in, and we've got to compete. I think we've got to grow our own. So tell us a little, Melissa, because I think this is a good time, because we're coming into the holiday season, Thanksgiving, about gratitude, and everybody's a lot of faith-based holidays in December. Tell us about how your team is done, doing good while doing well in the charity world. And y'all, by the way, I'm amazed at how much they do. So Melissa, please tell us about how y'all do that.
Yeah, so sure. So from day one, I think it goes back to how I was raised, being raised in the projects. Let me say that growing up, being poor, no one really sewed into Merle and I. No one told us that, gave us hope or came into the schools and talked about the opportunities. It just was our mother driving us and saying, you can do anything you want to do, believing in us and encouraging us even in the worst of circumstances. We were on food stamps, and I tell people, and Medicaid. So when people tell me, well, Melissa, the reason you're successful is because you probably had money. I mean, no, I didn't. So I know what it's like to stand in line and use food stamps to be made fun of. So, growing up was tough, but it taught me the principles of perseverance that made me successful. But I think it also gave me the principles to give, right? I never forgot where I came from, and I never ran from it. I'm proud of it because it gave me and made me into who I am today. And so one of the principles Merle and I have always done, we've taught our children, is you're a blessing to bless others. And so from day one, we have given not only personally as a company, but we've encouraged our employees. And we buy Christmas for hundreds of kids every Christmas. We go back to school. When they're going back to school, we buy backpacks and school supplies. When COVID started, we raised money as employees to buy masks and hand sanitizer. We gave it to our local firemen and policemen. We went to senior citizens' homes and homeless shelters and contributed to things. So the principles of giving our employees, when you do something and you're excited about it and you do it with an open heart, it gets people excited around you. And so our employees have just been generous. I think one of the greatest stories that really touched me was when COVID first started, and we had a meeting with all of our employees. We'd send them home, and we were on a team call, and we said, listen, we want to tell you right now, we will not lay one of you off. We will pay you throughout this time, and we will pay you bonuses during this time. We're just making a statement as a company. We are going to thrive, not survive. And we did. I mean, we have grown 85 to 90% this year. We just made a determination that's what we were going to do. And I'll never forget, I paid out a bonus to all of our staff, and a lady who's a single mom with 4 children was so touched. She spoke up, and she was like, when we told her we were going to pay it, she said, 2 of my neighbors are unemployed, and I'm going to take this bonus and give it to them because they're struggling to buy food. And man, it touched me at that moment. Out of all the things we do, at that moment, I was like, Melissa, this is why all your sacrifice, all the time that you invest makes a difference, because you've influenced other people to give. And that's what it's about, guys, is when, especially even when it's tough and you're starting your business, when you're willing to give and help others even during that time, that's when you're blessed.
That's awesome. And, I think that in this time, I'd challenge us all to get involved in something bigger than ourselves and even in our community, just to say, okay, how can we, because the tech community is doing well in COVID.
Yes.
I mean, we're all, I sometimes say, sometimes I'm overeducated to my intelligence. And I think I would challenge us all to be out there thinking, what can we do? How can we help? Things like he's on the call and I don't know where he went. These calls are funny because you look at a lot of faces and they move around. Food for the Soul, who Bob is on the call, they're doing a turkey trot at Thanksgiving, a virtual turkey trot, and you can donate monies to Food for the Soul that delivers meals to people through the school systems and through different charities to try to help the people that are out there. So there's a lot of ways to help. So talk about, Melissa, tell me about when you think about our local, and urging on to us all or kind of challenges for the future for, raising this ecosystem to the next level. What do you think we need to be able to do as tech titans and as local, citizens?
Yeah. Well, I think personally, and it's something that I've shared with Amy and Bill, is I think, personally, all of us involved with Tech Titans need to get more people involved. The stronger we become, the bigger we become, the more powerful we become, the stronger our voice will be heard, right? Because it's not just about Dallas, it's, being represented on a national basis. So I think it's critically important that we get more people involved. Also, this is a great organization. So obviously, through this relationship, we have found several different companies that we utilize as a company. Moss Adams, obviously HumCap helps us find talent. There's different organizations that we found through participating in Tech Titans, as well as just being able to participate in meetings and events that they sponsor and organize, to really keep up to date with what's going on in the fintech space, the technology space, and STEM. I think that's important. I think knowledge is power, and if you're not kept up to date, then how can you really know what's needed or what's going on? So I think that's really important. But I think the greatest thing that all of us should really get involved in and participate in is the STEM program, because I'm telling you that is going to be the next crisis that faces us if we don't start investing in our next generation that will become the leaders. But also just investing so that we'll have the talent that's necessary to keep thriving here in Dallas. When you look at the companies that are coming out of Dallas and just are making a difference worldwide, I mean, it's amazing what comes out of Dallas-Fort Worth. And I think sometimes we're not given the recognition we deserve. And so I think, having an organization like Tech Titans really getting out there and being the voice is super important. So, for us, we've become more involved over the last couple of years. We'll continue to invest in Tech Titans because we think that it's critically important to have someone out there talking on our behalf.
And I agree. Well, there's an advocacy piece to it that I don't understand around the government affairs and the other things that help advocate for things that help companies succeed. And that's a big part of that. As a plug, I would challenge everybody of a couple things here on this. One, as it pertains to Tech Titans, we'd love everybody to invite somebody. Two of the best events of the year. By the way, we've had great events, and I'm really, really super proud as a board member and as a participant of Tech Titans that we've been able to go virtual and do things like this. I mean, the gala and the awards was amazing. The virtual was really, it truly was one of the best ever. And I'm going to joke for a second. I was young when I started going to these things called a third Friday lunch for the Metroplex Technology Business Council. And that's now Tech Titans. And that's now the Tech Industry Lunch. So back in the 90s, it was called Third Friday Luncheon. It was MTBC. We've transitioned, obviously, names to Tech Titans and to the Tech Industry Luncheon. So next week, a challenge I'll give everybody here is to invite somebody that works with you and invite somebody you work with on a customer or a vendor basis for the Thursday and Friday luncheons. So on Thursday, and Deb, if I get this wrong, please tell me. Deb, who runs programming, is on the call. We've got a 5G luncheon on the Thursday the 19th, and it's about the 5G and manufacturing in North Texas. And then on Friday, we've got leading a biotech company, really amazing success story, almost as exciting as Melissa's. I'm joking, but the point is, exciting success story for Cersei Therapeutics, different industry, a lot of the same things of another local success story. Is it, Deb, did I get those right? It's Thursday and Friday?
Yes, you did.
Talk about what we can, excuse me, I was muted, about what we can do here. And we talk about the state of our local things. I think one of the biggest things I do, and this has helped me as a professional both grow and to be connected to the community, is both participating in these events and inviting others to be involved with them, because it really grows our impact the more we grow our community. And candidly, it's pretty economical to be on these things with them being virtual. I think it's amazing that we're able to do that and keep these things moving.
Yeah.
So I think a couple other thoughts. I'd like to open it up for questions if you want to put it in. And I'm not the greatest. This is my first town hall I've moderated on Zoom, by the way. So if you have a question and you want to either ask it on the chat box or unmute, I believe you can unmute. I'm not sure if Sylvia will let us unmute. Any questions for Melissa on her success or the future of fintech and tech in North?
So Melissa and Tad, I get asked a lot. This is Barbara Tunstall, Executive Account Manager. When someone is contemplating joining Tech Titans, or when they first become a member, I'm asked, where should I get involved? What should I do? From both of your personal experiences with Tech Titans, how would you answer that question?
Well, I think 100% of people should be involved in STEM. I just always believe we got to invest in our young people. They are our future. Anytime someone says, why is that, Melissa? I said, well, guess what? They're going to be the ones that take care of us in the nursing home. So I got to make sure that I've sowed some good seeds, right? So if anything, that's going to be my caretakers when I get older. So I got to make sure I have some good ones, right? So I think we should invest in the youth. But for me personally, I like to really kind of get a feel of what's going on. So I attended some events. really just took a few moments to really see what the different opportunities were. That's how I was able to find where I could be the best assistance, right? But I didn't get involved in a STEM initiative, and we supported one. So that's what I would suggest, because I'm one of those people that likes to kind of fill things out and see, okay, where can I make the biggest impact?
So my advice would be probably threefold. One, it would be starting with STEM, like as what Melissa's saying is, in what role can you play in that? Because I think that's probably, you said, the biggest impact of Tech Titans on a multi-generational perspective. It's going to be STEM, because I literally have, and you know, I know there's people younger than me on the call, because I know how old some of you are that work for HumCap, and I know I have a few people who might be a day or two older than me. I literally have kids who work in STEM right now, partially because they were able to get involved young and see the tech community, because I worked in the tech community since they were little kids. And I think if we don't have a way to naturally let that happen, like the chairman of Tech Titans is AT&T executive, Amy, and my son, literally, my oldest son works at AT&T like 7 ranks below Amy. So one, I would say get involved in STEM somehow locally within your employee base. The second thing I would say is get involved, especially in the area of technology that you work in most. The forums are kind of one of the things that people overlook a lot. The forums are a nice small community where you can talk about real deep technical stuff, more technical than what we go into on the tech industry luncheon. But get your tech people and yourself into something that really you want to geek out in. And I say geek out, and I think geek is a good thing. You know, geeks and nerds run the world. So we need to help our geeks and nerd in ourselves and in our employees, you know, get in those forums and be participative in that. I would say the third thing is the tech industry luncheon is the premier luncheon. And I would say get your sales and marketing folks, anybody you're saying you want to promote your company, promote your products and services, get them involved there. Because people would say, why join Tech Titans? And I'm like, well, it's the largest tech trade association in the Southern United States. And it's, you know, when you go there, you're going to meet people that you're going to want to do, you know, partner with. You're going to meet people that you should be getting to know. You're going to meet people from that. And the people who are most naturally gregarious, like I've never met a stranger. I've run from a few people I've met, but I got to meet them pretty fast. So, but my third thing would be get your personality, sales and marketing people out to the tech industry luncheons and in the awards gala, and get your name out there, because you'll learn new people that maybe ought to be employees, ought to be buying from you, or you ought to be buying from. You know, those things are really critical, because I think it's just about getting involved at those levels.
Yeah, I also think, like, each one of us have a unique story. And so for me, several years back, I was given the opportunity to go in some inner city schools and do some mentorship through a program in Dallas. And I think, you know, there's so many, role models. I wouldn't call them role models, but there's so many people out there that young people are looking to that's not setting a good role model for them. And I think one of the greatest things that I've experienced personally was when a young man came back to me several years and said, Melissa, I went to college because you came and spoke at my class, and hearing your story, you know, from the projects, no money, and how you were able to go to college and the things that you did to persevere and become successful really encouraged me to go ahead and take those steps and go to college. So each one of us have a unique story. You never know who you're going to impact by just taking a few moments, taking a couple hours and going into a school and just being willing to sacrifice. We all have a different story, and it's all impactful if we're willing to share it. And so I think each one of us has something very unique to share with the world. And I always say, let's be the people that these kids look up to. I mean, we've got people that they shouldn't be looking up to that they are, because we're not stepping up and filling those roles. So, you know, I'd like to encourage each one of you is be a role model, be somebody that someone looks up to that encourages them, you know, to make choices in their life, to make the right choices.
This is Bob
Absolutely.
Soller. Hey, Ted and Melissa. Very nice to meet you. So I 100% agree with you. I think the STEM is a very important program. I think Tech Titans is an incredible organization for technical people to get together, but it's across the board. As Tad was alluding to earlier, my family were the founders of a nonprofit fighting childhood hunger called Food for the Soul. And just during COVID, we've now provided over 14 million free meals and snacks to local Dallas-Fort Worth people. And the impact is in STEM as we encourage them, but we're also part of the group of providing hope to those in communities that need it. And the stories are amazing for people that are just looking for hope, and you can be that mentor to come out and encourage people that are in. And I grew up with a single mom also, so we have a lot in common. But to have somebody who encourage you, I was the first person in my family to go to college. Right. And it was my mom that drove me down that path, one, through faith of God, but two, to have that encouraging every single time. So to have somebody in the technical community, such as Tech Titans, be able to give that hope to people in STEM and to be able to give that hope to people that are not, I think it's a great environment across the board.
Yeah.
That is
Totally
exactly right. Totally agree. Any other questions? Because I don't want to take too much of everybody's time. Ahmad, are you out there? I see Ahmad's picture, beautiful picture on the screen. Any questions or comments?
Thank you, Tad. I love the conversation, and you're doing an amazing job manning the ship here. And Melissa, it's a beautiful story. It's very exciting to hear, and definitely inspiring for all of us who are still new in our journey with our new companies. Congrats on everything that you've done and everything you still want to do. That's inspiring as well. And no questions from my end, Tad, but this has been fun thus far, and I'm happy I joined.
Absolutely.
Good seeing your
Glad to see you
face.
out there. Just trying to... There you go. If you can't tell, I'm in the high desert. So the high desert of my office.
Make sure to drink a lot of water.
Yeah.
Exactly. I've got my protein right here. So, all right. Well, I don't know if anybody has any other questions, chime in, because I think we've come out. Melissa, it's been great to talk about the story and the where you've gone from a $300, investment and a lot of sweat equity to a thriving, successful company that is really impacting the world, and that you guys are impacting our community in such a beautiful way. So we really appreciate you and your team and being involved with Tech Titans. So Bill or Sylvia, if we don't have anything else, I don't know if we might adjourn here today.
Sure. Does anyone have any other comments or questions? Nope. Well, I really appreciate everyone joining us today, and thanks so much to Tad and Melissa for hosting and for the story. Very impactful story and insights into Tech Titans. Really appreciate it. Remember, as we mentioned, there's quite a busy week next week. We had the Cybersecurity Forum on Tuesday, Dr. David Ricketts' Innovation Lecture Series on Wednesday, IoT on Thursday, and then, as we mentioned, the Tech Industry Luncheon on Friday. So busy week next week. Really appreciate y'all taking time out of your Friday today. Great insights, and thanks so much. Y'all have a great rest of your Friday and a great weekend.
Bye, everyone.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks,
Great.
Melissa. Thanks, Tad.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.